Hi, welcome to Alta Heron. My name's Rob Runacres, and today I am with Jacopo Penso from Opera Nova. I suppose you're based in Turin, aren't you, mainly, but also Brescia with Roberto Gotti?
Yes.
Okay, so we got a bit of noise because as we started filming, of course, all the traffic starts here. But we're in Athens for Hamathlon Athens, but I just wanted to grab Jacopo to talk to him a little bit about his art form. So you basically study the master Achille Marozzo from the 1536 or the
Yes.
1536
First edition.
treatment. Okay, fantastic. And in particular, I want to ask you about the longsword. Can you describe the longsword and what the sort of differences are, if any, with what we might know from the medieval masters, the German masters, the Italian masters, and I guess also Maya as well for the Renaissance?
The first thing I can say is that we have forms, so long sequences of actions, which is very helpful in the studying of a system because you have something to memorize and something to practice with.
So these are the assaulti?
Yes.
I suppose most people know the sword and buckler assaulti, which is essentially a paired set of forms with an agent and a patient.
Yeah, you can do it alone, of course, like a solo form, but it's also a paired application in which you can fight with someone and use the word of the master to apply it in some practical exercises.
Okay. And I mean, does it just basically follow what we would know as a normal longsword after that point?
Mm-hmm.
Are we seeing essentially the same sort of handling of the weapon?
Yeah. Well, regarding the handling, regarding the weapon, actually, Marozzo has a slightly longer sword than the classical Federschwert we see in tournament and etc. So we usually refer it as a spadoncino. So it's not a montante, it's not a spadone, it's not because that kind of weapon is too heavy for the motion that Marozzo told us, and so it's something in between a Federschwert and a bigger sword. Okay.
And does that give you any particular difficulty when you're actually going in to use a feather in competition?
Well, not so much, but of course, for example, a longer handle is very useful to have a better leverage in some movement. So when we had the occasion to try some prototype of the actual measure of Marozzo sword, that helped more than I expected, honestly.
Really, and that actually completely changed how you were doing things. You actually found that the application of it within these forms.
It doesn't change, but it was something like a little help in doing what we were trying to do.
Fantastic. Okay, and the footwork, is that consistent with the rest of the Marozzo footwork, or is it very much like other longsword? I mean, I'm not a longswordist, as people know, so I'm fairly ignorant to this.
As far as I know, yes. Marozzo has one system that reflects in the different weapon, in my opinion, our opinion. So, of course, the way you train your footwork is the same. Is no matter what weapon you will use. Then.
And I see you have at your salle, you have these raised posts that you utilise for quite long stance and also quite large movements when you're doing this. Would you say it's actually wider than some of the other stances we see? Or?
Yeah, of course, but that is just for exercise. So the weather step is just to,
But that must transfer surely if you're going to be using that as a regular exercise. That's going to transfer into your normal footwork, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, but it's also true that masters like Pietromonte says to use a short step to have a very light footwork. So yes, of course, we can have a large movement, especially in training because we want to get more strength in the legs, for example. but then in the application you can use the same pattern of footwork, but just shorter to be able to be faster in the changing of the line, for example.
I'm going to ask a difficult question
Yes.
because you and of course your associate Moreno and some of the other guys, when you move, you have a slight skipping motion. So I can't say it's less grounded, but there's this slight dancing motion, and it reminds me, and this is where I'm probably going to upset you and Roberto, of some of the traditional southern Italian knife fighting movements. Is that do you feel that's a conscious lift from Marozzo, or is that a stylistic thing that's come out through just the sound, the general work?
It could be. I know that modern people who study traditional knife fighting, for example, they sometimes can relate to living tradition from 500 years ago. So,
but it seems very much like an Italian tradition of that ritualistic knife fighting.
Yeah.
You haven't seen it?
Yeah, I have an idea, but I don't know if it's the same. If it's the same, I think it's something that can relate, because of course you have if a living tradition that relate to Renaissance time has this kind of motion, well, maybe putting it into our modern way of studying it can be also useful.
Okay. And I think we can't really finish off without mentioning Minsk. Of course, you're going to Minsk with Roberto for the demonstration games that, sort of in tandem with the European games. What is it you're hoping to bring to that? What are you trying to do? Because there are no medals at this.
Yes.
So what is it you're actually trying to portray?
Well, honestly, I would like to express and to be consistent in expressing the system we study and the art we study, and as close as possible to the master that inspired our research. So, of course, tournament is always dragging you into a more point-related situation, and this is something that. The more that I go, the more I find myself not comfortable with. But of course, it's sport, so we have to manage with it. In Minsk, honestly, I hope that many people try to come with the idea of showing our art to the world, actually, because it's an incredible stage for us. So. Seriously hope that it won't be only a point-related, sport occasion, because we have many for that.
Yeah. Jacopo, Penso, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Rob.